The Koreth Empire had conquered 47 worlds across 3 star systems. Their warriors stood 8 feet tall, covered in thick scales that could stop most projectile weapons. Their 4 arms ended in claws sharp enough to cut through steel, and their teeth could crush bone like it was nothing. For 10,000 years, they had been the most feared species in the known galaxy. Every race they encountered either surrendered or died. There was no middle ground. War Commander Thrakos stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Endless Fury, and looked at the blue and green planet on the main screen. His intelligence officers had been studying this world called Earth for 3 solar cycles now. The creatures that lived there were soft, weak, and small. They had only 2 arms and no natural weapons at all. No claws, no fangs, no venom, no armor. Just pink or brown skin that could be cut with a simple blade. "They are pathetic," said Subcommander Vrel, standing beside Thrakos. "I have never seen a species so poorly designed for combat. How did they even survive on their own world?" Thrakos made a sound of agreement deep in his throat. Their planet is filled with predators larger and stronger than them, yet somehow they became the dominant species. This is curious. "Perhaps they bred faster than they died," Vrel suggested. "Perhaps." Thrakos turned away from the screen. "It does not matter. They have resources we want. Their planet sits at a perfect junction point for our expansion into this sector. We will take it as we have taken everything else." The Koreth way was simple. They would land on the planet, challenge the leaders to single combat, and when those leaders died, the rest of the population would submit. This was how it had always worked. Weak species always surrendered when they saw how powerful the Koreth truly were. Those who did not surrender were simply killed until the survivors changed their minds. "Send the declaration of conquest," Thrakos ordered. "Tell them we will arrive in 7 of their days. Tell them to prepare their greatest warrior to face me in single combat. If their champion wins, we will leave. If I win, their world belongs to the Koreth Empire forever." The message was sent. Thrakos expected fear. He expected begging. He expected offers of tribute to make them go away. Instead, the humans sent back a simple reply that confused everyone on the bridge. "We accept your challenge. We will be ready." Thrakos read the message 3 times. No threats, no pleading, just acceptance. For a moment, he felt something strange in his chest. It took him a while to recognize it because he had not felt it in decades. It was excitement. Finally, after so many easy conquests, something interesting might happen. "They are either very brave or very stupid," Vrel said. "They are stupid," Thrakos decided. "They do not know what they face, but it will be entertaining to teach them." The 7 days passed quickly. The Koreth fleet entered orbit around Earth, and Thrakos took a shuttle down to the surface with his honor guard of 50 warriors. The humans had sent coordinates to a large open field surrounded by temporary structures. Thousands of humans had gathered to watch. Thrakos noted with amusement that many of them were eating food and drinking beverages as if this were some kind of entertainment event. A group of humans in formal clothing approached. One of them, a female with gray hair and a stern face, stepped forward. "I am Secretary General Chen," she said through a translation device. "I speak for the United Nations of Earth. We have prepared our champion as you requested." Thrakos looked down at her. She barely reached his chest. "Where is this champion? I do not wish to waste time." "He will be here shortly. First, I must ask you some questions about the rules of this combat." "Rules?" Thrakos laughed, and his honor guard laughed with him. "There are no rules. We fight until one of us is dead. That is the Koreth way." "No weapons." "A Koreth needs no weapons. Our bodies are weapons." "Can we use weapons?" Secretary General Chen asked. Thrakos considered this. "Your champion may use any weapon he wishes. It will not matter. Nothing your primitive species can create will harm me." "Any weapon at all?" "Yes," Thrakos growled, growing impatient. "Guns, blades, explosives, whatever you want. I have fought against all of these things and more. My scales have stopped projectiles that would tear through your buildings. Bring your champion. Let us end this." Secretary General Chen smiled in a way that Thrakos did not understand. "Very well. Since you have agreed to any weapon, we have selected our champion accordingly." She spoke into a communication device, and a few minutes later, a vehicle arrived. It was large and covered in metal, and when it stopped, humans in matching uniforms jumped out and began setting up some kind of equipment. Then their champion stepped out of the vehicle, and Thrakos felt that strange feeling in his chest again. But this time it was not excitement. This time it was confusion. The human champion was not particularly large. He was maybe 6 feet tall with dark skin and a shaved head. He wore simple clothes and carried no visible weapon. But there was something about the way he moved, the way he looked at Thrakos, that made the war commander pause. The human was not afraid. That was obvious, but it was more than that. He looked at Thrakos the same way Thrakos looked at enemies he knew he could defeat easily, with calm certainty. "This is General Marcus Thompson," Secretary General Chen said. "He is our champion." "One human?" Thrakos asked. "You send one small human against me." "You asked for our greatest warrior," General Thompson said. His voice was deep and steady. "Here I am." Thrakos studied him more carefully now. The human had scars on his face and hands, old scars from many fights. His eyes were cold and calculating, moving constantly, taking in everything around him. This human had seen combat before, real combat. That much was clear. "You have fought wars," Thrakos said. It was not a question. "Many wars," Thompson confirmed. "I have been fighting since I was 18 years old. That was 32 years ago." 32 years of constant war. Even Thrakos was impressed by that. "Your species fights among yourselves that much?" Thompson smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "We never stop fighting. Somewhere on Earth there is always a war. We have been killing each other for as long as our history records. We are very, very good at it." Something cold touched Thrakos' spine. He ignored it. "It does not matter how many of your own kind you have killed. You have never fought a Korath." "No," Thompson agreed. "I have not, but I have studied you. Your ships, your weapons, your tactics. Your species has been watching us for 3 years. Did you think we did not notice? Did you think we were not watching you back?" Thrakos had not thought about that. The Korath did not spy. They did not need to. They simply arrived and conquered. The idea that prey might study them was foreign. "Enough talk," Thrakos growled. He stepped forward into the open area that had been marked for combat. "Come, little human. Show me what 32 years of war has taught you." Thompson nodded and walked calmly to the center of the field. He still carried no visible weapon. The humans in uniform had finished setting up their equipment, but Thrakos did not pay attention to what it was. His focus was entirely on his opponent. "Last chance to surrender," Thompson said. "Take your fleet and leave. Never come back. That is my offer." Thrakos roared with laughter. "You offer me a chance to surrender. You stand there with no weapon, no armor, nothing but your soft skin and your fragile bones, and you tell me to surrender." "Yes," Thompson said simply. "Then you will die knowing you had the chance to live." Thrakos raised all 4 of his arms and extended his claws. "I will make it quick, human. That is the only mercy I will show." Thompson reached into his pocket and pulled out a small device. He pressed a button on it. Behind Thompson, one of the pieces of equipment the soldiers had set up suddenly moved. It turned toward Thrakos and made a sound like 100 thunderstorms at once. Thrakos did not understand what was happening until he felt the impacts. Hundreds of them. Thousands of them. Something was hitting him faster than he could see, punching through his scales like they were paper, tearing into his flesh beneath. He tried to move forward to reach Thompson and crush him, but his legs would not work. He looked down and saw that his legs were gone. Just gone. Reduced to shredded meat and broken bone. He fell to the ground, purple blood pooling around him. The sound stopped. Silence fell over the field. Thompson walked toward him slowly, still holding the small device. He stood over Thrakos and looked down at him with those cold, calculating eyes. "That was a rotary cannon," Thompson said. "It fires 4,000 rounds per minute. Each round is designed to penetrate armored vehicles. Your scales are impressive, but they are not vehicle armor." Thrakos tried to speak, but only blood came out of his mouth. "You asked if we noticed you watching us," Thompson continued. "We did, and we learned everything we could about you. Your biology, your technology, your tactics. We knew exactly what weapons would work against you. We have been preparing for this moment for 3 years. Thrakos finally managed to form words. "This is not honorable combat." "No," Thompson agreed. "It is not, but you said any weapon, and humanity's greatest weapon has never been strength or speed or natural armor. Our greatest weapon is our mind, our ability to study our enemies and find their weaknesses, our ability to create tools that make us more dangerous than any predator evolution ever designed." Thrakos coughed blood. His vision was fading. "My fleet will destroy." "Your fleet is already disabled," Thompson interrupted. "While we were talking, our forces boarded your ships. Your crews are dead or captured. The endless fury belongs to us now. So do the other 37 vessels you brought." "Impossible," Thrakos whispered. "No," Thompson said. "It is very possible. You see, War Commander, the problem with your species is that you have never lost. You have never faced an enemy that could challenge you. So you never evolved. You never adapted. You conquered the same way for 10,000 years because it always worked. But humans, we have been fighting and losing and adapting for all of our existence. We have faced predators that could eat us whole. We hunted them to extinction. We have faced diseases that killed half our population. We survived and found cures. We have faced other humans who wanted to destroy us. We won, and we learned." Thrakos' eyes were closing. He could barely hear any more. "Your species conquered 47 worlds because no one ever fought back properly," Thompson said. "But humanity has spent its entire history fighting. Against nature, against disease, against each other. We are not the best natural warriors in the galaxy. We are something far more dangerous. We are the species that refuses to lose, and we will do absolutely anything to win." Thrakos died with those words echoing in his mind. 2 weeks after the death of War Commander Thrakos, the Koreth High Council convened an emergency session for the first time in 800 years. The council chamber was vast, filled with ancient weapons and trophies from 10,000 years of conquest. The 14 members of the High Council sat in their massive stone chairs, their scales dark with age and scarred from countless battles. At the center of the chamber, a holographic display showed the recording that had been recovered from the endless fury. They had watched it 17 times now. Each time, it made less sense. "He was the greatest warrior of our generation," Supreme Commander Koreth said, his voice heavy with disbelief. "Thrakos conquered 11 worlds by himself. He once killed a Vrax beast with nothing but his bare claws, and these humans killed him in less than 3 seconds. Their weapon was..." Elder Moreth paused, struggling to find words. "I have never seen anything like it. The rate of fire alone is beyond anything we have encountered. And they claim this is not even their most powerful weapon," another council member added. "They lie," someone growled. "They must be lying." "They are not lying." The voice came from the entrance to the chamber. Everyone turned to see Intelligence Director Silax enter, accompanied by 2 guards. Silax was old, older than anyone else on the council. He had served in this position for over 200 years, watching and analyzing every species the Koreth had ever encountered. "I have spent the last 2 weeks studying everything we know about humanity. What I have found disturbs me greatly." "Speak," Supreme Commander Koreth ordered. Silax moved to the center of the chamber and activated his own holographic display. Images appeared. Strange images. Humans killing each other in 1,000 different ways. This is their history, Silex said. Just the last 300 of their years. In that time, they have fought 2 global wars that killed over 100 million of their own kind. 100 million. They developed weapons that could destroy entire cities with a single explosion. They created poisons that could melt flesh from bone. They built machines that fly through the air and drop fire from the sky. The council watched in silence as image after image appeared. Explosions that turned cities to ash. Soldiers dying in mud and blood. Ships sinking beneath black waves. They did all of this to each other, Silex continued. Not to alien enemies, to their own species. They have been perfecting the art of killing for thousands of years, and they have never stopped. This is madness, Elder Moreth said. No species survives that level of internal conflict. They did more than survive. They thrived. Silex changed the display to show graphs and numbers. Their population has grown from 2 billion to 8 billion in just 100 years. Their technology has advanced faster than any species we have ever recorded. They went from simple flying machines to walking on their moon in 60 years. They went from basic computing devices to artificial intelligence in 50 more. How is any of this possible? Supreme Commander Koreth demanded. Because war drives them, Silex explained. Every conflict they survive makes them stronger. Every enemy they face teaches them new ways to kill. They do not see war as a necessary evil or a path to honor. They see it as an engine of progress. Their greatest technological advances have all come during times of conflict. He changed the display again, showing human military equipment. Tanks, aircraft, ships, submarines, missiles. These are just their conventional weapons, the ones they use against each other in limited conflicts. They also have weapons they have agreed never to use. Nuclear weapons that can level entire continents. Biological agents that could wipe out all life on a planet. Chemical weapons that cause death so horrible even they consider it too cruel. If they have these weapons, why did they not use them against Thrakos? Elder Moreth asked. Because they did not need to, Silex said. That is what should terrify us most. They killed our greatest warrior with a weapon they consider ordinary, something their soldiers use in normal ground combat. They have weapons 1,000 times more powerful, and they did not even consider using them. To them, we were not a serious threat. The council chamber fell completely silent. There is more, Silex continued. I have analyzed the boarding action against our fleet, 37 ships, over 15,000 warriors. The humans captured or killed all of them in less than 4 hours. They did not lose a single soldier, not one. That is impossible, someone said, but their voice lacked conviction. I have the recordings. Silex played them on the display. Humans in strange armor moving through Koreth's ships, using weapons that fired without sound, appearing and disappearing like ghosts. Koreth warriors who had won 100 battles dying before they could even raise their claws. It was systematic, efficient, utterly without mercy. They call these soldiers special forces, Silex explained. They are not their regular military. They are their best. The ones they train for years in every form of combat imaginable. The ones they send against the most dangerous enemies. And to them, we were just another training exercise. Supreme Commander Koreth stood, his ancient bones creaking with the movement. What are you telling us, Intelligence Director? That we cannot win against these humans? Silex hesitated. In 200 years he had never hesitated before. I am telling you that we must think very carefully before we continue this conflict. In our entire history we have never faced an enemy like humanity. They are not stronger than us. They are not faster. They have no natural weapons at all. But they have something we have never truly understood. And what is that? Adaptation, Silex said. They change, they learn, they improve. Every time they face a challenge, they find a way to overcome it. And they do it faster than any species I have ever studied. We watched them for 3 years. In that time, they analyzed everything about us and developed perfect countermeasures for all of our strengths. They knew exactly how to kill us before we ever landed on their planet. "We have 1,000 worlds," Elder Morath said. "We have trillions of warriors. Even if they killed 1,000,000 of us, we would still overwhelm them with numbers." "Would we?" Silex asked. "Let me show you something else." He changed the display to show Earth's military forces. Numbers, equipment, bases, ships. This is their current military strength. It is not impressive by our standards. A few million active soldiers, a few thousand aircraft, a few hundred ships, but this is not what we should fear. What we should fear is this. He showed another display: factories, laboratories, training facilities. This is their production capacity. If we attack them, if we give them a reason to truly mobilize for war, they can increase their military strength by a factor of 100 within 2 years. They did it before, in their second global war. A nation called the United States went from a small peacetime military to the largest military force in their history in less than 3 years. They built over 300,000 aircraft in 5 years. They built hundreds of ships. They trained millions of soldiers. "Even so," Supreme Commander Korath said, "they cannot match our fleet. They have no ships capable of interstellar travel." "Not yet," Silex agreed. "But they have been studying the ships we lost. Our technology is now in their hands. How long do you think it will take them to understand it, to improve upon it? Remember, they went from basic flight to landing on their moon in 60 years. They went from simple rockets to satellites to space stations to probes on other planets in decades. Give them our technology in 10 years, and they will have a fleet larger and more advanced than ours." "This cannot be," Elder Morath growled. "We are Korath. We have never been defeated." "That is exactly the problem," Silex said quietly. "We have never been defeated because we have never faced a true challenge. We have grown complacent. Our tactics have not changed in 5,000 years because they have never needed to change. But humanity, they change their tactics every generation, sometimes every year. They learn from every defeat and every victory. They study their enemies obsessively. They prepare for wars they hope will never come." He paused, letting his words sink in. "The humans have a saying, if you want peace, prepare for war. They have been preparing for war with us since the moment they detected our observation probes. They did not panic. They did not despair. They simply started planning how to kill us, and they succeeded beyond our worst nightmares." Supreme Commander Korath sat back down heavily. "What do you recommend, Intelligence Director?" "I recommend we do not attack them again. I recommend we open diplomatic communications and establish a treaty. I recommend we leave humanity alone and hope they extend us the same courtesy." "You want us to surrender?" The words were spoken with disbelief and anger. "I want us to survive," Silex replied. "I have served the Empire for 200 years. I have watched us conquer 47 worlds, but I have also watched carefully, and I have seen the patterns in the galaxy. Do you know what happens to predator species that cannot adapt? They die out. They are replaced by species that can change, that can learn, that can evolve faster than their environment." He turned off all the displays and looked directly at the Supreme Commander. "Humanity is the most adaptable species I have ever encountered. They are also the most violent. In their short history, they have proven that they will do absolutely anything to survive and win. They will burn cities, poison water, shatter atoms themselves. They will sacrifice millions of their own people if it means victory, and they will not stop until their enemies are completely destroyed." "We could destroy their planet," someone suggested. "Before they develop star travel, glass their world and be done with them." Silex shook his head slowly. "Could we? Think about what I have told you. They knew we were watching them. They prepared countermeasures for everything we might do. Do you truly believe they have not prepared for an orbital bombardment? Do you truly believe they have not hidden weapons throughout their system, perhaps throughout our own systems, waiting for us to try?" "You give them too much credit." "I do not give them enough credit," Silex said. "That is my fear. I have studied them for weeks, and I still do not understand everything they are capable of. They are endlessly creative when it comes to destruction. They invent new ways to kill as naturally as they breathe, and they have had 3 years to prepare for us." He walked toward the exit, then stopped and turned back to the council. "I will leave you with one final thought. The humans have a concept they call mutually assured destruction. During one of their internal conflicts, 2 groups of humans developed weapons powerful enough to destroy all life on their planet. Instead of using these weapons, they pointed them at each other and agreed that if either side attacked, both sides would be destroyed. They lived like that for decades. Entire generations grew up knowing that their world could end at any moment." He let that sink in. They are a species that learned to live with the constant threat of complete annihilation. They are not afraid of destruction. They are comfortable with it. That is what we face. That is what we cannot defeat. Not their weapons, not their tactics, but their absolute willingness to destroy everything, including themselves, rather than surrender. Silax left the council chamber in silence. Behind him, the 14 most powerful beings in the Koreth Empire sat in their ancient chairs, and for the first time in 10,000 years, felt the cold touch of fear. 6 months after the failed invasion of Earth, the Koreth Empire made first contact with humanity again. This time, they came not with warships but with diplomatic vessels. A single ship, unarmed and broadcasting signals of peaceful intent, approached Earth's orbit. Secretary General Chen accepted the communication request personally. She had aged visibly in the past 6 months. The weight of leading humanity through its first interstellar conflict had taken its toll, but her eyes were still sharp, still calculating, as they had been the day Thrakos died. On her screen appeared an elderly Koreth, scales faded with age, eyes wise and tired. He introduced himself as Intelligence Director Silax. "I come to speak, not to fight," Silax said. "I convinced my government to pursue peace. It was not easy. Many still want vengeance for Thrakos, but I showed them what you truly are, and most of them understood." "What we truly are," Chen repeated. "And what is that, Intelligence Director?" "The most dangerous species in the galaxy," Silax replied without hesitation. "Not because of your strength or your weapons, though those are formidable, because of your mind, your ability to learn and adapt and overcome. We have conquered 47 worlds because no species ever truly challenged us. You did more than challenge us. You defeated us completely and utterly, using weapons we had never even imagined." Chen nodded slowly. "Your war commander came to our world and offered us single combat. We accepted his terms and used them against him. That is our way. We find the rules and we exploit them." "I know," Silax said. "I have studied your history extensively. Your species has a gift for turning weakness into strength, for finding advantages where none should exist. It is terrifying and admirable in equal measure." "What do you want, Intelligence Director?" "I want peace," Silax said. "True peace, not just an absence of conflict. I want our species to coexist, to trade, to learn from each other. I believe we have much to offer each other. And if we refuse, if we demand reparations for your attempted invasion, if we decide that the Koreth Empire is too dangerous to exist." Silax was silent for a long moment. "Then I suspect we would fight, and I suspect we would lose. Eventually. It might take years or decades, but you would find ways to defeat us that we cannot even imagine. That is your nature. That is what makes you so dangerous." Chen leaned forward. "You understand us better than your war commander did." "I have had time to study, and I have no pride to blind me." Silax shifted in his seat. "May I ask you something, Secretary General, something that has puzzled me since I began my research?" "Ask." "Your species fights constantly. You kill each other in numbers that would devastate any other civilization. Yet you also cooperate on massive scales. You build cities together, create art together, explore space together. How do you balance these two impulses? How do you fight so much and still survive? Chen considered the question carefully before answering. Because we fight for each other, not just against each other. Every war we have ever fought has had soldiers who believed they were protecting something. Their families, their homes, their ideals. We are violent, yes, but we are also fiercely protective. When an outside threat appears, we stop fighting each other and unite against it. As you did against us. Exactly. For all our internal conflicts, for all our wars and hatred, when your fleet appeared in our sky, humanity stopped fighting itself. Every nation, every faction, every ideology set aside their differences and focused on one thing: survival. We prepared for 3 years while you watched us, thinking we were primitive and weak. We let you think that. It was useful. Silax made a sound that might have been a laugh. You tricked us, from the very beginning. We adapted to the situation, Chen corrected. We assessed the threat, developed countermeasures, and implemented them when the time was right. That is what we do. That is what we have always done. And now that the threat is past, will your species go back to fighting itself? Chen sighed. Probably. Eventually. We are what we are, intelligence director. We cannot change our nature, but we can direct it, channel it. For now, we are united. Your invasion did something that centuries of diplomacy could not achieve. It gave humanity a common enemy, and we will not forget that feeling of unity anytime soon. I see, Silex paused. Then I will make my proposal. The Korath Empire wishes to establish formal diplomatic relations with Earth. We will return all prisoners unharmed. We will provide star charts showing the locations of all our colonies. We will share non-military technology. In exchange, we ask only for peace. No attacks on our territory. No expansion into our sphere of influence. Simple coexistence. That is surprisingly generous. It is practical, Silex said. We cannot defeat you. Not now, perhaps not ever. Better to have you as allies than as enemies. Better to learn from you than to be destroyed by you. Chen was quiet for a while, thinking. I will present your proposal to the United Nations. I cannot promise they will accept. I understand, but I hope they will consider one thing. Silax leaned toward the screen. In my 200 years of service to the Empire, I have seen many species. Some were strong, some were intelligent, some were creative. But none of them had what humanity has. None of them had your fire, your refusal to surrender ever under any circumstances, your willingness to fight against impossible odds and somehow win. You admire us, Chen realized. I fear you, Silex corrected. But yes, I also admire you. Any species that can survive what you have survived, that can accomplish what you have accomplished, deserves admiration. You should have been extinct 1,000 times over. Yet here you are, the most dangerous species in the galaxy, ready to take your place among the stars. We are not ready, Chen said quietly. We have so much to learn, about space, about other species, about ourselves. You will learn, Silex assured her. That is what you do. That is why we fear you. You never stop learning, never stop adapting, never stop improving. In 10,000 years, my species has changed very little. In just 300 of your years, yours has transformed completely. What will you be in another 300 years? What will you be in 1,000? In 10,000? The question hung in the air between them. Chen had no answer, and neither did Silax. Neither of them could imagine what humanity might become. I will present your proposal, Chen said finally. I think the Council will accept. As you said, better to have allies than enemies, and we have much to learn from each other. Thank you, Secretary General. That is all I ask. The communication ended. Chen sat alone in her office for a long time, thinking about what Silax had said, the most dangerous species in the galaxy. She had never thought of humanity that way. They were just people doing what they had always done, surviving, fighting, adapting. But maybe that was the point. Maybe that was what made them dangerous. They did not see themselves as special. They did not think of their violence or their creativity or their stubbornness as remarkable. It was just who they were. It was just what they did. And they would keep doing it, no matter what the galaxy threw at them. That was the human way. 5 years after first contact, the galaxy had changed more than it had in the previous 10,000 years. The Korath Empire had opened its borders to humanity, and humans had spread through the stars like wildfire. They established colonies on 20 worlds in the first year alone. They built ships that outpaced anything the Korath had ever designed. They developed technologies that combined the best of human innovation with alien knowledge. And everywhere they went, they changed things. On the planet Vorthax, the third world the Korath had ever conquered, a revolution was brewing. The native species, the Vorth, had lived under Korath rule for 8,000 years. They had forgotten what freedom meant. But the humans who arrived as traders and engineers brought something with them that no other species ever had. They brought ideas. General Marcus Thompson, now serving as Earth's military attaché to the Korath Empire, stood on a balcony overlooking the Vorthax capital city. Beside him stood Silax, who had become something unexpected over the past 5 years. A friend. "Your people are causing trouble again," Silax said, but there was no anger in his voice, only resignation. "We always cause trouble," Thompson replied. "It is what we do. You have taught the Vorth about democracy, about self-determination, about the right to choose their own leaders." "We taught them about freedom," Thompson corrected. "They had the ideas already, we just gave them the words for them." Below them, crowds of Vorth were marching through the streets, carrying signs written in their own language and in English. They were demanding elections, demanding representation, demanding change. "The Empire cannot survive this," Silax said quietly. "If the Vorth gain independence, others will follow. World after world will break away." "Yes," Thompson agreed, "they will. You know this will happen, you planned for it." Thompson did not deny it. The Empire is built on conquest and fear. It was stable for 10,000 years because no one challenged it. But stability is not the same as justice, and humanity has never been comfortable with injustice. "You are dismantling our civilization," Silax said, "piece by piece, world by world." "No," Thompson said, "we are freeing it, there is a difference." Silax turned to look at him directly. His ancient eyes held neither anger nor fear, only something that might have been understanding. "Why?" he asked. "You have peace with us. You have technology, trade, allies. You could have everything you wanted and let us continue as we were. Why risk conflict? Why stir up rebellion?" Thompson was silent for a moment, gathering his thoughts. When he spoke, his voice was soft but firm. "Because we know what it is like to be conquered," he said. "We know what it is like to live under the rule of others, to have no voice, no choice, no future. Humanity has spent most of its history oppressing itself. We have had empires and slaves and tyrants and genocide. We have done terrible things to each other. I know, I studied your history. Then you know that we also fought against those things. Again and again, people rose up against oppression. They died for freedom. They sacrificed everything for the idea that every person deserves to control their own destiny. We have not achieved that ideal ourselves, not completely, but we keep trying. We never stop trying." Thompson gestured to the crowds below. "Those people down there, the Vorth, they want what every thinking being wants. The right to live their own lives. The right to choose their own path. Your empire took that from them 8,000 years ago. We are helping them take it back. Even if it means war with the Korath. If it comes to that." Thompson met Silax's gaze without flinching. "But I do not think it will. Your people are changing too, Silax. You have seen it. The young Korath who have met humans, who have learned our ideas, they are not like the old warriors. They are starting to question things that were never questioned before." "They are causing as much trouble as the Vorth," Silax admitted. "There are factions now, debates, arguments about whether the Empire should reform. This has never happened in our history. And that frightens the old guard. It terrifies them. They do not understand a world where they are not supreme, where their word is not law, where they must justify their power instead of simply wielding it. Thompson nodded slowly. That is always the hardest part, learning that power must be earned, not taken, learning that true strength comes from the consent of those you lead, not from the fear you inspire. Did humanity learn this? We are still learning. Every generation fights the same battles. Every era produces tyrants who try to take what is not theirs, but we keep pushing forward. We keep getting better slowly, painfully, with many steps backward for every step forward. But the overall direction is clear, toward freedom, toward justice, toward a future where everyone has a voice. Silex was quiet for a long time, watching the crowds below. Finally, he spoke again. When we first met you, I told my council that humanity was the most dangerous species in the galaxy. I meant it as a warning, a reason to fear you. I remember. I was right, but for the wrong reasons. Silex turned back to Thompson. You are not dangerous because of your weapons or your violence. You are dangerous because of your ideas, because you believe that all thinking beings deserve freedom, because you will not rest until everyone believes it too. Is that so bad? It is terrifying, Silex said. And it is wonderful. I never thought I would live to see the Empire change. I never thought I would want it to change. But standing here, watching those people march for their freedom, I find that I do want it. I want to see what the galaxy looks like when everyone is free. Then help us build it, Thompson said. You have influence, Silex. You have the respect of both sides. You could be a bridge between the old empire and whatever comes next. I am too old for revolutions. No one is ever too old to fight for what is right. Silex made that sound again, the one that might have been a laugh. You truly never stop, do you? Never stop pushing, never stop hopping, never stop fighting. Never, Thompson confirmed. That is who we are, that is what makes us human. Below them, the crowds had started to sing. It was a Vorth song, ancient and haunting, but Thompson could hear human voices joining in. Different species, different languages, different histories, all united in a single moment of hope. The galaxy will never be the same, Silex said. No, Thompson agreed, it will be better. 50 years after first contact, the galaxy had indeed changed beyond recognition. The Korath Empire still existed, but it was no longer an empire in any meaningful sense. It had become a federation, a coalition of worlds that chose to work together rather than being forced to submit. The old warriors who had ruled through fear were gone, replaced by leaders who had grown up in a galaxy where humanity existed. And humanity was everywhere. They had spread to over 200 worlds, but more importantly, they had spread their ideas even further. Democracy, human rights, freedom of expression, these concepts had taken root on thousands of planets that had never known them before. Not because humans forced them on anyone, but because the ideas themselves were powerful. Once spoken, they could not be unspoken. Once imagined, they could not be forgotten. On Earth, in the city once known as Geneva, the first truly galactic government was being inaugurated. Representatives from over 100 species had gathered to sign the Compact of Worlds, a document that guaranteed the rights of all thinking beings regardless of their origin. Secretary General Chen, now 90 years old but still sharp, still fierce, stood before the assembly and prepared to give her final speech as humanity's leader. Behind her, on the stage, sat representatives from every major species in the known galaxy. Korath and Vorth, humans and dozens of others, all gathered as equals. 100 years ago, Chen began, humanity stood alone on a small blue planet, fighting among ourselves, unaware that we were not alone in the universe. 50 years ago, an empire came to conquer us, and we discovered that the galaxy was far larger and far more dangerous than we had ever imagined. She paused, looking out at the assembly. So many faces, so many species, so many stories, all of them here because history had taken an unexpected turn. The Korath Empire came to Earth expecting to find another weak species to conquer, another world to add to their collection. Instead, they found us, and we were not what they expected. Somewhere in the audience, Silax sat watching. He was very old now, the oldest Korath alive, and he knew his time was short. But he had lived long enough to see this day, and that was enough. We were not stronger than them, Chen continued. We were not faster or more powerful, but we had something they had never encountered before. We had 10,000 years of human history, 10,000 years of fighting against impossible odds, 10,000 years of refusing to surrender, no matter the cost. She smiled slightly. They called us the most dangerous species in the galaxy. They meant it as a warning, a reason to fear us, but I think they were right, though not in the way they intended. We are dangerous because we believe. We believe that every thinking being deserves freedom. We believe that tyranny must always be opposed. We believe that the universe can be better than it is, and that we have a duty to make it so. These beliefs have driven us across the stars. They have toppled empires and freed billions. They have created this moment, this gathering, this chance to build something new. Chen looked directly at the cameras, knowing that trillions of beings across the galaxy were watching. 50 years ago, a war commander came to Earth and demanded our surrender. We killed him and captured his fleet. But that was not our greatest victory. Our greatest victory is this room, this moment. The fact that his descendants sit among us now as friends and equals, helping to build a galaxy based on cooperation instead of conquest. She turned to look at the document waiting to be signed. The Compact of Worlds is not perfect. No document created by thinking beings ever is. But it represents something that has never existed before, a genuine attempt by hundreds of different species to live together in peace, to respect each other's differences while working toward common goals, to build a future where strength is measured not by the ability to destroy, but by the ability to create. Humanity brought this moment into being, but it does not belong to us alone. It belongs to all of us, to every species that has ever dreamed of freedom, to every individual who has ever hoped for a better tomorrow, to everyone who believed that the universe could be more than a battleground. Chen picked up the pen and prepared to sign. In the name of Earth and all its people, I sign this compact, not as conquerors but as partners, not as rulers but as equals, not as the most dangerous species in the galaxy, but as the species that help the galaxy find peace. She signed her name with a steady hand, then stepped back. One by one, the other representatives came forward to add their signatures. Korath and Vorth, old enemies and new friends, all committed to the same future. In the audience, Silax watched with tears in his ancient eyes. 200 years ago, he had warned his council that humanity could not be defeated. He had been right, but not in the way anyone expected. Humanity had not defeated the Korath Empire with weapons or violence. They had defeated it with ideas, with hope, with the simple, powerful belief that all thinking beings deserve to be free. The compact was signed. The assembly erupted in cheers and applause. Beings who had been enemies for millennia embraced as friends. It was chaotic and beautiful and imperfect, just like everything humanity touched. General Marcus Thompson, now old himself, stood beside Silax in the crowd. They did not speak. They did not need to. They simply watched as the galaxy they had helped create celebrated its birth. Finally, Silax turned to his old friend. "You were right," he said. "All those years ago you were right." "About what?" "You said it would be better, the galaxy, after freedom, after everything changed." Silax gestured at the celebrating assembly. "It is better, different than anything I imagined, but better." Thompson nodded slowly. "It is not finished," he said. "It will never be finished. There will always be new challenges, new conflicts, new reasons to fight. That is the nature of thinking beings. We are never satisfied, never complete, never done improving." "That sounds exhausting." "It is," Thompson smiled. But it is also wonderful, because it means there is always hope, always the possibility that tomorrow will be better than today. That is the human way. That is what we brought to the stars. Silax considered this. I think I finally understand you, he said. After 50 years, I think I finally understand what makes humanity so dangerous. And what is that? You never give up, on anything, on anyone. No matter how impossible the odds, no matter how hopeless the situation, you keep fighting, keep hopping, keep believing that things can get better. Yes, Thompson agreed, we do. It is terrifying. I know. It is also the most beautiful thing I have ever seen. Thompson put his hand on Silax's shoulder, a gesture of friendship between two old warriors who had started as enemies and become something more. Come on, he said. There is a reception afterward, food and drinks and speeches, very boring but important, the kind of thing that makes civilizations work. I am too old for receptions. No one is ever too old to celebrate freedom. Silax made that sound again, the laugh that Thompson had learned to recognize over the years. You never stop, do you? Never stop pushing. Never, Thompson confirmed. That is who we are, that is what makes us human. Together, two old friends walked toward the future they had helped create. Behind them, the galaxy celebrated its new beginning. Ahead of them, the stars waited, full of challenges and possibilities and the endless potential of thinking beings working together instead of fighting. Humanity had come to the stars expecting to find enemies. Instead, they had found something better. They had found a universe waiting to be transformed, and they had done what they had always done. They had adapted, they had survived, they had fought for what they believed in. And they had won. Not through strength or violence, though they were capable of both, but through the most dangerous weapon any species had ever possessed, the unshakable belief that tomorrow could always be better than today. The war commander had been right all those years ago. Humanity was indeed the most dangerous species in the galaxy. But danger, it turned out, was exactly what the galaxy needed.